They say dogs don't know how to count days, but I do. 217. That's how long I waited. Not for food, not for water, not even for freedom. I waited for her. My name doesn't matter here. No one ever used it anyway. At the shelter, I was cage 14. I stopped barking back when people passed by. I stopped wagging my tail when volunteers came in. Somewhere around day 72, I understood. I wasn't the dog they wanted. They always stopped at the loud ones. The puppies with pink tongues and fast feet. The little white fluff balls with Instagram-ready smiles. No one wanted the quiet brown mutt who stared too much and limped slightly on his right leg. That limp came from before the shelter. Before I was cage 14, I was nobody's dog. I lived behind a gas station on the edge of town, eating leftovers and chasing crows. One night, I followed the wrong scent across the road. The car hit me but didn't stop. A week later, someone found me under a dumpster. That's how I ended up here. The shelter was warm, cleaner than the streets. But it wasn't a home. It was loud. Constant barking, metal bowls clanking, doors slamming. And the smell, not just of dogs, but of fear, bleach, and waiting. Waiting was all we did. Some dogs handled it better. Like Rocky, the German shepherd across from me. He barked and spun and wagged like a lunatic every time someone walked by. And it worked. On day 9, he was gone. Then there was Lucy, a tiny mix with crooked teeth and eyes too big for her face. She got adopted the day she arrived. No one even saw her pee on the floor. I learned not to get my hopes up. Day 38, a family stopped at my cage. The boy pointed. The mom wrinkled her nose. The dad said, "That one looks depressed." They moved on. Took a beagle from cage 11, day 64. A woman crouched in front of me. She didn't smile, just looked. I sat up. She read the paper hanging on my gate. Male, 4 years old, mixed breed, quiet temperament, good with other dogs. She stayed for almost a minute. I wanted to hope. Then she stood and said to the volunteer, "Does he shed a lot?" And just like that, she walked away. The volunteers tried their best. Marcy, the college girl with purple hair, always gave me an extra minute when cleaning. She whispered to me sometimes, told me I was a good old soul. But she didn't have a home to take me to. She just had a job. By day 100, I stopped standing when people came. By day 150, I only lifted my head. By day 180, not even that. Something in me started shrinking. My world became the size of that cage. Cold concrete, chain link, a steel bowl, and my own smell. Every night, I curled up in the same corner. There was a spot where the light from the hallway would shine through a crack in the door. It hit the far wall just right. I used to imagine it was moonlight. That tiny patch of light became my window to something better. I'd watch it until my eyes burned, pretending I was anywhere but here. Then came day 216. It started like all the others. Barking, cleaning, food, silence, barking again. But that night, the hallway light flickered. Footsteps, not the usual ones. Heels, not sneakers. Slow, careful steps. I didn't lift my head. Until I heard a voice, soft, broken. It wasn't the cheerful tone people used when they wanted a friendly dog. It was low, like she was afraid the words might shatter. "He looks tired." I opened my eyes. She was kneeling. Not standing, not crouching, kneeling, like she belonged on my level. I hadn't looked anyone in the eyes in weeks, but I looked at her. Her hair was messy. She wore a coat too big for her frame. Her hands were shaking slightly. "Hi," she said, barely above a whisper. "I'm Claire." That name meant nothing to me, but her tone did. The volunteer with her, some new guy I didn't know, said, "He's been here a while. Doesn't do much anymore." Sweet dog, though, just quiet. Claire didn't respond. She just looked at me, and for the first time in 217 days, someone saw me. Not the brown fur. Not the limp. Not cage 14. Just me. She reached through the bars. Slowly, no treats, no leash. Just her hand. I didn't move. but my heart did. Something flickered in that hallway light. That spot on the wall I watched every night, it looked brighter. Or maybe my eyes were lying. Maybe they wanted to believe again. "Can I sit with him?" she asked. "No one's done that in a long time," the volunteer replied. "But sure, I'll open it." The door creaked. That metal clank I'd heard 1,000 times, but this time it wasn't to clean. It wasn't to take me to the vet. It wasn't to move me for another dog. She walked in, sat on the floor. Didn't touch me. Didn't talk. Just sat next to me. Silence stretched out, but it wasn't heavy. It was soft. Safe. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. I laid my head on her boot. She flinched, not in fear, but like someone who hadn't been touched in a while. Then she exhaled, one long, quiet breath. "I lost someone," she whispered. "I think you did too." No one had spoken to me like that before. Not like I was broken. Not like I was baggage, but like I was understood. That night, she left. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't promise to return. But I remembered her voice and the weight of her silence. And for the first time in months, I didn't watch the crack of light on the wall. I just waited. For her. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Just closed my eyes and listened. Every door that opened, every boot that stepped on tile, I thought maybe it was her. But she didn't come back the next morning. Or the next after that. I told myself I was stupid for hoping. That I imagined the warmth in her voice. That I confused kindness with commitment. Because that's what dogs like me do. We hope ourselves sick. Still, something had shifted. I wasn't the same. I started listening again, watching, picking up my head when someone walked by. Not because I believed they'd take me home, but because I was waiting for her. Then, on day 219, just as I was finishing my breakfast dry pellets in a dented metal bowl, I heard the same soft steps, and then that voice, "I'm here for him." The words landed like thunder inside me, not loud but world-breaking. My ears perked. My heart pounded, but I didn't move. I was afraid to believe it. She stood outside my cage. No big gestures, no baby talk. Just looked me in the eyes and nodded once, like we had some unspoken agreement. The same volunteer from last time opened the gate. "You sure you want him?" he asked. "There's a few younger dogs coming in today, and puppies." "I don't want a puppy," she said, almost defensively. "I want him." Paperwork, I watched them go through the motions. She signed forms, gave her ID, answered questions. She barely looked away from me. When it was time to leave the cage, I didn't resist the leash. I didn't bark or run or do any of the things the other dogs did when freedom came. I just walked beside her, quiet, like always. The ride home was strange. She had an old car. Smelled like coffee and lavender and something faintly metallic like coins or forgotten keys. She didn't talk much, no music, just the hum of the road and her fingers tapping the steering wheel. At a red light, she glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "You don't have to like me right away," she said. "I'm okay with that." I blinked. That was enough. When we pulled into her driveway, I saw a small house with peeling paint and a garden that had clearly given up weeks ago. There was a single wind chime on the porch. It sounded like summer even though it was cold. Inside, everything smelled like her, warm and a little sad. The couch had a quilt thrown over it. The floor creaked. The kitchen had magnets that said things like, "Coffee first," and "Home is where the dog hair is." That last one made me nervous. She unhooked the leash and walked into the living room. Sat on the floor, waited. I stood in the doorway. No cage, no commands, just space. Freedom was bigger than I expected. After a moment, I stepped forward. Slowly, I sniffed the floor, the walls, the corner of her coffee table. She watched me, eyes soft, posture relaxed. When I finally lay down on the rug, near the couch, but not touching her, she smiled. "Good," she whispered. "That's good." That night, I didn't sleep in a corner. I didn't watch a crack of light. I slept on a bed, not hers, one she had bought just for me. It smelled new, unfamiliar, but it was soft and mine. She didn't close her bedroom door. I could hear her breathing. Slow, steady, like mine. The next day was quiet. She didn't rush me to meet neighbors or walk me through a park. She just let me exist, gave me space, watched me explore. Talked to me sometimes, casually, like I'd always been there. Your food's in the red bowl, water's next to the fridge. Don't worry, I won't move it. I work from home. You'll hear me typing a lot. That's not me ignoring you. And then once, you don't have to fix anything. I just wanted you to be here. I didn't know what that meant. But I felt something shift inside my chest when she said it. Like a window opening after too long. As days passed, I learned her routines. She made tea every morning. Sat by the window for a few minutes before touching her laptop. She cried sometimes, silently, stirring at nothing. Once I walked over and put my paw on her knee. She didn't speak, just rested her hand on my head. We didn't do much that first week. No big adventures, no training, just healing. She started calling me Finn, said it felt right. Said I looked like a fin in her head when she saw me that first night. I didn't care about the name. I cared about the way she said it. Like it meant something. She bought me a collar not flashy, just a soft blue one with my name stitched in white. It felt strange at first, heavy. But after a while, I liked the sound it made when I walked through the house, like I was supposed to be there. A week turned into two. 2 into a month. By week 5, I started wagging my tail again. By week 6, I followed her into rooms without hesitation. By week 7, I ran for the first time in over a year. Just across her tiny backyard, chasing a ball she barely knew how to throw. But it felt like flight. One night, we sat outside. Cold air but clear sky. She wrapped herself in a blanket and I laid my head on her lap. "Do you ever wonder why no one picked you?" She asked softly. I didn't move. "Because I do, every day. I wonder what's wrong with people." She ran her fingers through the fur behind my ears. Gentle, rhythmic, like she was braiding silence. "Maybe," she said, "we were both just waiting for the wrong people to leave. So the right ones could show up." I don't remember falling asleep. Only that I woke up still on her lap, still warm, still wanted. We weren't perfect. She forgot to refill my water once. I peed on the rug when thunder scared me. She burned toast. I knocked over a plant, but none of that mattered. Because when she sat on the floor, leaned her head against my shoulder and whispered, "I'm glad you waited for me." I knew I hadn't been waiting in that cage. I had been waiting for her. All 217 days. And I'd wait 1,000 more if it meant ending up right here.